Right.
Okay. So, how are you?
I'm good, darling. How have you been?
Okay. Good. So we finished the book.
Yes, we have. How long did it take you to finish all shootings?
Took a year and a half.
Do what?
A year and a half.
A year and a half. Wow. So this has been a project that's been in the works for a really long time.
For a very long time. It doesn't feel like, but yes, lots of life passed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think about it, it's kind of weird. It was 12,000 shots when I finished.
Right.
So.
And which cities have you shot?
Only this one.
Okay.
And it's funny because there were lots of residents,
Mm-hmm.
like you, like me, but there were lots of people, like lots of models that come and go. But those, at the end of the thing, were not selected naturally.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like I didn't thought about it, and the editor actually selected all, like he never came here, he doesn't know you, he doesn't know anyone.
Right.
And he just selected all the residents, so all Bangkok residents.
Well, that's nice then.
It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you had a follow-up, like, sort of chat like this with any of the other models that you've shot as well?
Yes. We've been having, like, interviews to see, like, because with you was not so long time ago that we shot for the book.
No, I think maybe no, actually,
No, it was before the virus.
It was, so I think it must have been about 5 months ago almost.
Yeah. Wow. But with
Time
some
flies.
was like
Time
a
flies,
year
huh?
ago. Yeah, no, time, yeah. Well, especially this year, it's
like that, just gone.
Was incredible. Tell me a little bit about you. I don't know about you.
Oh,
So
like
where you come from?
Okay, so born and raised in Australia.
Okay, where in Australia?
Queensland.
Okay.
So that's the East Coast.
Okay.
And then at 13, I got into modelling.
13?
13,
wow.
yeah. And
How?
I entered a competition at my kind of local supermarkets, shopping mall,
yeah.
right? And I ended up winning that, and then part of that was to go to kind of like another follow-up competition in Brisbane, which was sort of like for the whole state. And then whilst I was there doing that competition, a scout from Japan came and where they were like, oh, we really want her to come, but of course I'm 13 years old, you know, so
Wouldn't really go to
a little bit
like
too
that.
young, a little bit
Okay.
too young. So then as soon as I turned to 14, my agency was like, okay, well, yeah, she's ready to go. So then I started modelling internationally at 14, sort of on and off, like it'd be like 6 months overseas and then 6 months I'd go back to school.
Okay.
And then the first like couple years, 14, 15, my mother came with me, you know, so it wasn't like she just like sent me out into the world.
Okay.
But then around 16, I stopped and started traveling full time.
Oh, so you stopped modeling?
No, stopped school.
Oh, stopped
staying in Australia and just traveled full time modeling.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I've been doing up until now.
Wow.
Yeah, mostly in Asia, a little bit of traveling around. Like I've traveled everywhere, but mostly for work is just in Asia because I felt like that was sort of my niche. And that's what works.
Why do you feel it's a niche? Why do you feel it's your niche?
Well, I think the blonde hair, blue eyes, and sort of baby face has a lot to do with it. Japan especially. Japan's been a really good market for me. I mean, my first trip was 14 to Osaka, and I just fell in love with the city, and I never wanted to leave.
So it's more that you like the market or the market liked you?
Both. I mean, of course I stayed there because the market liked me, but in turn I fell in love with the country and the people there and everything.
Starting so young, do you think that doing so many castings and having so many opinions like thrown at you like that, did that like influence your adult life or?
That's, you know what, that's exactly, you sort of answered my question. You sort of took my answer in your question. When I was younger, I didn't really think about it too much because I was working really well and everything like that. But yes, when you get a little older, it affects you. It affects your self-confidence 100% because, you know, for one, you still, doesn't matter how old you get, you still have this stigma of how you should look or how you should behave or that you should still be this figure of a 16, 17-year-old, you know, thin and but you get hips and you get everything like this. So, but yeah, I think it definitely plays on the way you perceive yourself in the later years, more so, and especially because the longer that you keep modeling, the more young people that come in, and then it changes as well too. Then your perspective of yourself changes a lot.
Do you think that you felt that new people, younger people come and you are the older one, more because you started early or not?
I actually think that, okay, so when I started, there were a lot of older models that I think hadn't been modeling for so long, and so I used to cop like a lot of slack from them. Do you know? They'd be like, "Oh, bitterness."
But you were so young.
But I was so young. So now that I'm older, and
what did they say to you?
Oh,
you were a child.
Just like jealousy. It was jealousy. No, there was nothing that specifically anybody said.
But jealousy to a 13 years old kid.
Yeah, I mean, so traveling, well, of course, was like 14, 15, 16, you know.
Still.
My body is a lot more toned than, say, for example, a 26, 27-year-old model or something like that. So I would book jobs.
And they got offended.
Yeah, kind of offended. Like, you know, she's 14, 15 years old, and, you know, they feel like that they've put in, like, the hard yards, so to speak, you know. But also, now I'm getting to that age as well too, and there are younger models coming through, but I think the fact that I started so young is I have a little bit more compassion towards the younger models because I know what they're going through. Like, I've been there. I've been the young model who's, you know, everyone's like kind of...
How do you feel about the experience of your career? Like, would you recommend what you did to a new person that is 13 years old?
That's a very hard question. I think, for me personally, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Because I really, I love my life. I love the life that I've led. And as crazy as it's been and, you know, as uncertain as the future is, obviously because I left school so young and what have you like that, I wouldn't have it any other way. But that's knowing my path and everything like that. For example, if I had a daughter who wanted to get into modeling that young, that's a tough one.
Yeah, you are at the mall with your husband. She's maybe 8. Some old man approach the situation and start to say, "Oh, you know that this blonde hair can make some money."
Yeah, I think knowing what I know now, probably not.
Okay.
Probably not.
Okay.
I think maybe perhaps after mostly at least finished high school, and then go on. Because I think when you're the age that I was and modeling was kind of put on a platter in front of me, it was just the most glamorous thing in the entire world. But I think if you wait a few more years and you kind of think of other, you know what I mean, like other paths you might like to take, then I think I think that can only be beneficial.
Well, because at that age you didn't really choose. You know what I mean? Like, it was a nice thing to do. You did it.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, no, you know what? When I was quite young, I remember being at least, man, I must have been 7, walking down my hallway in high heels, you know, pretending to be a model. So I think that it was always sort of a passion of mine, yeah. But when it kind of fell into my lap, there wasn't really anything else. I was just like, oh, this is the path. Do you know what I mean? But I think if you wait a little bit to be older and be a little bit more mature and have a lot more other interests and perhaps inclinations of other career paths, I think that might be it can only be beneficial.
Okay, boom question. Do you think that in the photographs that you usually take for work, that they take of you, is really you or not?
No.
Okay.
Some. Yours? Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, yours?
Thank
yes,
you.
definitely. Your pictures are raw and you know what? When I first saw them, I was kind of like, I was taken a bit of, but then I was like, no, this is what I look like. This is the picture.
Okay. So it was a little bit shocking in the beginning.
Yeah, I remember when you asked me to do it, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
well, and you were saying, okay, there's going to be no retouching and very little makeup and hair and whatever, and it's going to be you laying on the ground and like water thrown all over you. And I remember saying, okay, but I have to see which pictures you choose first.
Yes.
And I saw them, and it took me a minute, but then I fell in love with them because yeah, that's the real me. That's what I look like. But of course, and I feel that like, especially in specific markets, they definitely warp you to look like something that's totally not you. But you know, we still post those pictures all over our Instagram and social media and everything like that, knowing full well that that doesn't look like us. But how do you think that that's portrayed to, you know, a 15, 16-year-old girl sitting at home behind her thing with, do you know what I mean? I even know it doesn't look like me, but she doesn't know that that doesn't look like me.
Okay.
Do you know?
So have people ever approached you and say like, well, I thought you were like taller or shorter or different?
Not necessarily, but I've definitely been to castings where the client would be like, wow, you look better in person than you do in your pictures. Actually, I think you said that to me when we first met.
I actually think that.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I think you actually, when the first time we met and we started shooting, and you said
when I choose like the photos with the model
something
agency,
about my nose or
exactly,
something. Yeah, right.
when they send me the com card, and your com card was one of those that I didn't like.
Yeah.
and but the agency, you know, the booker say, but this is a fantastic model. It's the best model we have.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said like, well, I guess it's very professional, but it looks a little bit more. I don't know. There was all of this Photoshop and stuff. Your nose and your cheekbones look so everything so.
Well, especially that of my com card.
Yes.
My front com card. Yeah, that one is very altered. And
then I saw you have lots of personality by yourself, and the features are maybe similar, but there's a lot of more, absolutely.
Yeah. There's a lot more going on. The skin, yeah, I get it, I understand.
They modify you a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't see why. Yeah. That's the thing, like.
Which translates a lot in your pictures, you know?
Yeah,
because you get the raw image, like.